All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another Q&A leading up to The Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 11, Knots Untie. In this one, we're going to be talking about, to start with, the time skip and the length. It is apparently 2 months that occurs in Episode 10, The Next World. Great, so thank you guys for continuing to send me all the questions. Got lots of Q&As this half, so we're going to keep going. Going to have lots of fun. Going to talk about all kinds of things related to the series. So this one, the 2-month time skip. So this was one for Forbidden Evil, and he says it has been confirmed that it was a 2-month time skip. Trev, thoughts? So I'm going to give my thoughts on that one first. See, I thought it was probably going to be like, about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks type of time skip, maybe around 3 weeks being the best estimate based on what was in the episode. But when we get information outside of the episode that tells us either on Talking Dead or what have you, it changes things. So 2 months from between No Way Out to this. I'd say with this one, it makes sense, I guess, because, well, I don't know. Would Deanna be wandering around out there for 2 months? You see, in some ways it makes sense. Other ways it doesn't. Daryl did say that they hadn't seen anyone for weeks, this kind of deal. So, I figured it's about 3 weeks. But okay. So No Way Out, of course, ends, and they opted not to show us kind of anything right afterwards. I think that could have been a good intro sequence if they were going to kind of bring in like a zombie Deanna, maybe have everybody tired after No Way Out, everybody kind of sitting there and all set up and everything, and then have Deanna just kind of slowly, half devoured or whatever, walk down the stairs and come out of her the place that she was in with Rick and the rest when she was killed. So I thought that would have been a cool scene to see that. I think it would have been superior to what they did show us with Deanna as a zombie kind of in the woods wandering around, because it also brings into question, how the hell did she get out there? It's just kind of weird. We've talked about it briefly before. So it is what it is. The time skips are always a little iffy sometimes. If you look at the Walking Dead's timeline, there's a timeline online in the wiki, and it's like 600 something days since the zombie apocalypse started. But Carl has aged like 6 years or something, or 5 years, and it's just the seasons, the clothing they wear, and that it seems a lot more like, to me, it'd be probably around 3 or 4 years. But that said, it's a TV series. They got to do what they got to do for film, and they got to stay warm, all that kind of deal. And it doesn't work out perfect either way. So okay, so it's 2 months. So, it's interesting what happens with Rick during that time, and Michonne in that, and Rick's attitude is hugely different. I guess we can see it as with Carl, he had an epiphany, and I guess it makes sense that sometimes you'd have people that would react that way, that they're just happy to be alive. And of course, him and the rest of the group, including the Alexandrians, they had actually risen to the challenge, risen to the occasion, and of course are going to build up a lot of confidence from that. It's kind of a win. I mean, it might not seem like a win because they did lose people, so they lost with regards to their numbers, but they were able to kind of overcome an entire herd of zombies to where nowadays they're not going to be as afraid of them. They're going to be able to go through and have so many more numbers of useful people overall for Rick's group and the survivors, so many more tougher people. So you can see that he'd be happy as a result that how it all worked out. I mean, he's got the relationship with Michonne, and he's just added a lot of people to his ranks of the Alexandrians that are really tough, that before he felt like they were not part of their actual group. And then Deanna, of course, kind of sways him the other way. So a 2-month time skip, not bad. I mean, maybe they didn't want it to be repetitive, like I said in the review, so I guess it makes sense, and it definitely does bring the show into a new place, and like Jesus talking about the next world. So it's a lot different from what it was previous. And again, the show reinventing itself. It's kind of like a new half has started, or a new story arc has started. If you look at kind of the Alexandrian story, it's like second half of season 5 up until the ending of No Way Out, which is kind of like the first half of season 6. So it's like a whole season of the beginning of the Alexandria story. Now we're moving into a larger world after we've kind of gotten acquainted with everybody. We have some surviving Alexandrians, and the story's going to go from there. So I really liked the beginning Alexandria storyline. I think it's some of the best stuff they've ever done. Having the quarry with the zombies, having them come up, the characters from Alexandria. I would have liked to see maybe Jesse survive on longer, but if they're going to use Michonne, then that I guess if you think about that, kind of works out even better. for Rick, I guess, and makes more sense for him. Because if you think of it too, Michonne's a way better survivor than, almost anybody, really. I mean, she's one of the best there is. And, she's the one who killed the governor after all, right? And she's so good with the sword and everything, and tough as nails, that, for the long term could work out really well. So we'll go into some other questions for today's, but that's the first one. So I don't hate the time skip. I think it's good to keep it fresh and original, and it's like the beginning of a new story arc and the end of another one. So it's like just the launching on point of a completely new story for The Walking Dead, which is going to feel quite a bit different from the previous, pretty gritty season 6's first half, which I liked. It was good, especially with the zombies, they're all messed up and everything. And it just has a kind of a dark feel to it, whereas the new larger world has like a brighter, kind of sunnier type feel to it. That's the lighter feel. That's the sense I've got from it so far, especially stuff where they're playing tag in the field there, and Daryl jumps out of the thing, oh, go kick his ass. Goes after him. Type deal. Next one's from Elliot Reynolds, and he says, hey, Trev, how do you think Jesus and Gabriel will interact? So I thought this was a great question. It's like, well, they won't. at least Gabriel is not going to be fond of him using that nickname. If he hears that, he's going to be really pissed. He might try to punch him or something, which would be funny. I know he probably wouldn't do that, but he'd probably give him a stern talking to. Which in some ways can be even worse than punching somebody, especially if it comes from somebody, man of the cloth, so to speak. So, but yeah, he's not going to like that. He's not going to like the nickname, that's for sure. Next one's from Meg Egg 03, and she, I'm guessing it's a she because the name's Meg. Okay, so the reviews of IGN don't make any sense. They gave No Way Out an 8.8 and The Next World 9. So my response to that, this is really a question, it's kind of a statement. I used to look, like in season 1, when I used to do the reviews of Walking Dead, I used to compare sometimes my reviews to IGN, and I thought they were messed up then, but there's so many points throughout the series where you look at things like that. Some people think my ratings are crazy, weird, but I think I defend them pretty well, and you guys kind of know how I work in my scale and everything. It's the Walking Dead's always probably going to be higher unless you get episodes like Still and episodes like that, which are lower. But majority of the episodes, just because you have such a great universe, you have such great characters, you have such great people involved, the episodes for the most part are great. There's hardly any episodes of The Walking Dead which are really horrible. There's a few, but I've done top 10 worst, but there's some, but even those are not too bad compared to a lot of TV shows. So there it is. But you're right. I used to look at their ratings, is what I'm saying, but I don't bother anymore. I mean, good ones are like if you look at Rotten Tomatoes, they have great ratings. IMDb has pretty good ones, and a lot of their lists are very similar to mine for top 10 best episodes of Walking Dead. Like right after I saw No Way Out, I thought this is the best episode they've ever done, and sure enough, a lot of those lists reflected that as it being the best ever, and Too Far Gone being number 2, and No Sanctuary being number 3. I saw a lot of lists that were like that. So that's just, kind of the way I view it. Everyone's different, though. Everyone has different tastes. But yeah, rating The Next World over No Way Out is insane. That doesn't make any sense at all to me. It's just like, why bother even rating it at all? It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, so that's kind of why I like to do reviews too. Like IGN's been doing reviews of it since the first season as well too, just like I have since the first episode. But yeah, so that's why I like to do mine. Next one's from Ryan McKenna, and he says, I'm allergic to nuts. And then he's got this thing. It says, Finebros. It says, would you have an allergic reaction? He says, yes. And Finebros says, see you in court. So it's a pretty good comment. I wanted to add it in there. It's a pretty good comment. A few people have asked me to comment on the Finebros situation. Jess told me about it because, of course, like I said, she's got a YouTube channel on that, and she's kind of more up with the latest stuff that's going on in the tube. Sometimes I get behind. I don't know that much about what's going on. So with regards to the Finebros, okay, so I guess they're upset people started copying them at this point in the YouTube game, so to speak, and what they're doing. Doing reaction videos. You can't really say that you invented reaction videos. That's like saying you invented reviews. Like if you do a review, like if I do a review of The Walking Dead, then someone starts a channel and starts reviewing The Walking Dead. It's not like they copied off me. No, you can't say that. See you in court type deal. So Yeah, it's a little extreme, but I don't know. I haven't actually watched their videos where they actually mention, what it is or that kind of deal. So, but yeah, I mean, YouTube is a big place nowadays. Back 5 years ago when I started, and probably when they started, they've probably been around for even longer than that. I don't know how long, but there weren't that many people making videos. Now there's people making videos on everything you can think of. If you do an idea, if you come up with a unique idea to you, someone else is going to take it. Someone else is going to do the same thing. You just have to accept it. If you try to fight that, if you try to do what they're doing, you're just going to cause yourself some. And I guess there's a lot of fan backlash in that, because you can't say like, oh, if you do a reaction for anything, it's copying. You can't. Like I like to do reactions to some of the best Walking Dead episodes because you guys asked for them. Am I copying them by doing that? No. Maybe if somebody does the exact same style as them and they get people like, I think they do like teens react to. Like if they did something like that and they did like exactly the verbatim the same thing as what they did. Okay, now you've got a point to do some kind of strike or something against them or do something if you want to. I don't get into stuff like that. If people copy me, go ahead. It's fine. And next question is from Asia Jennifer, and she says, Enid is going to die. She sat on the unlucky bench that Noah and Reg both sat on. So, but I think there's other characters that have sat on the bench, aren't there? I'm not sure. I'd have to look back and take a look. But I don't think Enid's going to be killed off anytime soon. I'd be really surprised if Enid was killed off anytime soon. Next one's from George Caldwell, and he says, I just realized that all the role players must be 12-year-old boys. And I was thinking I should include this because, like, you just realized this? And people still get pissed off. You got people that hate them. You got people that like them. Here's what I would say. If you don't like them, don't thumb up their comments because they're getting like 50 thumbs up or 60 thumbs up. So obviously, if you stop thumbing them up, right, as a whole, then they're not going to get moved up in the list of comments. So just don't thumb them up if you don't like them. Thumb up somebody else that has a more intelligent comment. It's you guys and what you're doing. I'm not going to interfere with your commenting to that degree. If you start harassing each other, then I might get involved. But otherwise, I'm not. Anyway, we've talked about this before. Next one's from Jonathan Brusky and Justin Reed. They both said Trev, the comic that Carl was reading was Invincible, and that's really cool. Yeah, I noticed that. I didn't mention the review because I can't mention everything. Otherwise, the reviews would be like an hour long or something, or maybe even longer. But yeah, that's cool that Carl was reading Invincible, which I did a review for the first trade of Invincible, and I still want to pick up the rest. They're a little pricey because there's so many of them, but I think it's probably worth it because it's a great series. It's written by Kirkman, of course. It's his other main series from The Walking Dead, and I want to give it a try because it really is good. It's just the genre that it's in is so crowded with superhero comics like that people might not give it a chance. Whereas zombie comics is not really crowded. It's not because there's hardly anybody else doing it. There's like Crossed, I think, and that's it. There's really no long-running zombie series in comic books aside from Walking Dead, so it's pretty unique in that way. So I think that's why Walking Dead has always been bigger than Invincible. Invincible's really well written as well, too. It's great, but it's in a genre where there's lots of competition and lots of other stuff out there. Next one's from Carl De Souza, and he says, hey, Trev, what do you think about Ron's name being written on the Alexandrian wall in memoriam when he wasn't killed by a zombie but by Michonne? Question mark. Well, I would think even since that's the case, but even still, it's understandable that he would lose his mind based on what he's seeing. I mean, he's the last one of his family. His dad was killed. He was messed up to begin with. Now he's seeing his mother and his little brother being killed right in front of him, eaten alive by zombies, and then Rick, cut her damn hand off. So obviously he's going to not be in the right frame of mind, and I think you can understand that he would pull up that gun and try to shoot Rick at that moment. It makes perfect sense that he would, and I don't think anyone can really fault him for that, even Rick. I mean, Rick is empathetic and understanding towards others in that way most of the time, unless they're some kind of villain with another group or something. He would see that. So I think it makes perfect sense they would do that, and I don't think he would probably have any ill will towards him. Just because of what he went through, obviously. And we'll do one last one. This last one's from Meredith Gorlich, and she says, do you know which martial art or arts Jesus practices? I haven't, and this is my response, I haven't seen it officially written in the comic book series, but based on his technique, based on the way it's drawn by Charlie Adler. The TV series, you can't tell so much as well. It's actually kind of comical because he's a lot smaller than Daryl and Rick, so you get the impression that he's not beating them up, but he's kind of messing with them, and he's being tricky and running away and using his agility and maybe giving a little bit of a front kick, which doesn't really hurt him too much, but it, this kind of idea, which I liked how they played that. It was much different from the comic book series where it's like, okay, he's kicking their ass and he might kill one of them. It's much different feel, right, than the comic book series version where he actually takes Michonne's katana and he's looking like he's going to kill. Maybe he doesn't really look like he's just having fun, where in the TV series he looks a lot more like he's kind of being playful and having fun type deal. And showing kind of his skills, showing what he can do, which is pretty impressive. Stole your keys, didn't he? Thanks, God, see you, or whatever he says when the machine's behind him. And it's just like dragging down the road. It's funny. It's just so cartoony. Like the episode's so cartoony. But so which martial art would I say he practices from the comic book series version? I would say it fits best with Taekwondo. People could say, well, Kung Fu, karate, stuff like that. Yeah, but he does a lot of high-flying kicks and a lot of high-flying kick-type maneuvers. That screams Taekwondo. Taekwondo has a ridiculous amount. They even hold their hands low. Like, they don't hold their hands. With their stance is not up higher like something like this or, Muay Thai or something. They hold their hands, like, down here, really low. Like even there. Yeah, you might not be able to see on camera. But their stance is wide. They get down really low, and they do a lot of high-flying type of kicks and maneuvers like that, spinning kicks and all kinds of crazy stuff like that. So it's really flashy and it looks cool. And their floor exercises sometimes even look like breakdancing moves in that. But it's very tricky, and there's a lot of trickery involved in it. And if someone who's good at Taekwondo a lot of times just fought a wrestler and wrestler just grabbed him with clothes on, it might be it. It might be over. Even if you take like a second-degree black belt versus a good wrestler, if a wrestler was able to grab a hold of them, that might be the end of it right there. They might be able to take him down and be done with them. But it is a great martial art, and it does have some really good things. I just think they should take their hands up higher. I just don't. I don't know. Anyway, there's a lot of old martial arts, and you can get into arguing about that. We could do whole videos talking about that and people. And I used to do some MMA videos and stuff like that, give my thoughts on different things like that. So anyway, but I would say it's probably Taekwondo. You can maybe go Kung Fu or say karate, but based on Adler's artwork, it's most likely Taekwondo. Drop kicks and stuff. Well, that's kind of wrestling, but fake wrestling, not real wrestling. But anyway, so I'll call it here for today's video for this Q&A. Send me your questions for tomorrow's, guys. I'll probably do another one tomorrow. And if you like this video, please thumb it up below. If you want to help support the channel, as usual, please share, please favorite. And if you're new and you want to subscribe, you can subscribe at the bottom left. That's it for today. We'll see you guys again real soon. As always, it's Trev. I'm saying peace.